All right, I'm gonna do a real quick overview of how to lockpick in SCUM, from the hardware to settings to tips and tricks and how I do it. I currently have about like a 50 to 60% success rate on golds. I usually have around like 54 or 55 or so. But first things first, you need a good keyboard. You need a keyboard with low latency. I have the Logitech G Pro 10 keyless. I'm missing a few keycaps here, but the only one that matters for lockpicking is F here. So the only key that matters is F. Go to this website, clickspeedtester.com, check your keyboard latency, or just get the one that I got. It's a little expensive, but yeah, you press click here, tap F, see how fast you can have your F key. Typically, it's about 22 to 23 milliseconds if I do it right. So you don't need a macro. I know some people have tried to mess with macros in the past. A lot of people think it's cheating. I kind of do too, but I mean, at the end of the day, you don't need one anyway. You just need a decent keyboard. Bad latency. So get a good keyboard. That's where you need to start as a SCUM lockpicker. And then next, so I drew this little visual of kind of how I view the lock when I'm lockpicking. So you're gonna start. Basically, imagine there's this line right here. You're gonna start basically tapping around the outside here. So let's say, so I usually start on the right side of the lock. So I would start over here. You go tap, 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 tap. And you're going to continue tapping as quickly as you can using that low latency on your keyboard to tap quickly and get off of the key press, because the longer that you're holding F and putting tension on the lockpick, the faster you break your lockpick. So you tap around the edge of the lock until you are able to push right down the middle of what I call the sweet spot, right down the middle, and hit the success. Okay, so as you're tapping around the edge, once you find the mouth of the sweet spot, the lock is gonna just barely wiggle, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that just tiny, slight little wiggle. Once it slightly wiggles, you then hold down F until it stops and you hit the wall, and then you let off of F as quickly as possible. The lock will not turn while you're holding F. So you cannot adjust your position in the lock while you're holding F. So you need to press F, figure out where you are in the lock, let off of F as quickly as possible, because as soon as you hit that wall, you're putting tension on the lockpick, and the longer you do that, the quicker it breaks. You let off of F, and then you readjust, either left or right. Let's say you readjust to the right, and you hold F again to see where you are in the lock at your new position. You hold it down, you see you're not as deep in the lock as you were when you were to the left. So then you let off, and you go back to the left, you hold F again, and then you walk it into the success until the lock is open. So there's basically 4 steps. Tap around the edge till it barely wiggles. Step 1. Once it barely wiggles, hold F all the way down. That's your next step. Don't keep tapping F anymore. Once it barely wiggles, you hold F until you hit the wall, and then you let go as quickly as possible. That's step 2. Now you know how deep into the lock you are. Then you adjust, either left or right. This is just pure luck. You pick left or right. If you went the wrong way, you just readjust, you go the other way. Once you know the direction of the lock, you tap it in until you hit success. That quick, that simple. You got to do it really fast. You got to get really comfortable with the lock. And this is the visual that I think of whenever I'm lockpicking. All right, so now for my settings. As you can see, I've got a pretty big mousepad space. I use pretty much the whole thing. You need a big mousepad space if you're going to lockpick. If you're going to be effective and efficient, you need a big mousepad space. Get a big desk. I'm wireless, so I don't have to feel the whip of the mouse cord. So my settings right now, I'm on 800 DPI. My lockpicking sense is set to 7. It's a little bit higher than a lot of decent lock pickers. However, the reason it's higher is because I scan the entire lock. A lot of mediocre lock pickers will say, I'm going to set my sensitivity really, really low, and I'm only going to scan half the lock. Well, if you find the sweet spot, then you might be a little more effective than I am. However, you're only scanning half the lock. You're immediately cutting your success percentage in half. So I scan the entire lock every single time. Then also, you need to make sure that your dexterity is above 3. When you set your character and create your character, you can start with whatever you want, but in order to start with advanced thievery, you need to start with 3.0 dexterity. You also need to maintain at least 3.0 dexterity. If you are dehydrated, your dexterity is going to temporarily drop below 3, and that's going to drop your thievery to medium or lower. So don't let yourself get dehydrated. Also, don't overeat. If you keep your stomach, you keep your food in the bottom left here above 100% for too much, you lose dexterity. So don't overeat. Don't get dehydrated. As a lockpicker, these are two things. You need to keep your dexterity above 3. So there's 3 different types of lockpicks. You've got your advanced lockpick here, your regular medium lockpick here, and then your improvised lockpick here. You can get 10 taps out of all of these. A lot of people will say, I can't feather as much with an improvised lockpick. That's not true. I will show you right now. You put the improvised lockpick in your hand. Here, I will count out 10 taps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, you get 10 taps with an advanced lockpick. You also, improvised lockpick, you also get 10 taps with an improvised lockpick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, you get 10 taps with the improvised lockpick as well. Feathering is just as easy with any type of lockpick. However, putting tension on the lockpick when you're holding F down, you get more time to do that with the advanced lockpick. You get a little more time to do that with the medium lockpick, and you get the least amount of time to do it with the improvised lockpick. That's the difference between these. Also, if you need to wear gloves, because there's a zapper. Zappers are in kill boxes and on player locks on doors. So if there's a lock protection, you can wear either medical gloves or insulating rubber gloves. These are the only 2 sets of gloves that protect you from zappers. They cannot be wet. If it's raining and you put the gloves on, you're going to get zapped anyway. They cannot be wet. You can see the wetness percentage when you hover over them. If you put them in a wet bag that you drop in the water, or if you lay prone while it's raining, or if you lay prone in the snow, I believe it can also get them wet. Check your wetness of your gloves before you put them on. Don't lockpick with wet gloves. Once you do have the gloves on, as you can see, you see the yellow glove at the bottom middle of my screen. The yellow glove indicates the difficulty that is being added to the lockpicking minigame. So medical gloves are yellow for medium difficulty, and then the insulated rubber gloves are red for the most difficult. So if you pair, for example, improvised lockpick with insulating rubber gloves, that is going to be much more difficult. So my ideal situation, if I have to deal with zappers, is medical gloves and an advanced lockpick. That's going to give you yellow glove difficulty and the most amount of tension time on the lockpick. If you aren't dealing with the zapper, do not wear gloves. Any type of gloves in the game at all. Don't wear wool gloves. Don't wear fingerless. Don't wear anything else. Although I do think fingerless doesn't affect your lockpicking. Just don't wear gloves. If it shows any sort of indicator, you just want it to look clear like that, like see-through. You want the hand to be see-through if you don't have to deal with a zapper. Also, some lockpickers you'll see whip their camera up to the sky or down to the ground. I do the same thing. You want steady frame rate. So telling your camera to look at the ground gives you the highest frame rate and the most steady frame rate. Also with the clouds, it's just more comfortable for me to just whip down real quick. So you go to lockpick a door, And then before the actual game pops up, you'll whip down to the ground. You'll get steady frame rate. And also, if you lockpick when you practice in third person, always do your real lockpicking in third person. The sensitivities between third person and first person in lockpicking are different. I don't know why, it doesn't make any sense, but when I'm standing here in third person lockpicking, the sensitivity will be different than if I'm in first person lockpicking. The sensitivity is higher in third person. I always lockpick in third person for two reasons. I want the slightly higher sensitivity, and also in first person, you can see your character kind of stumble around a little bit sometimes. So he moves around. Your camera will move. So if I get into the game, you can see this movement kind of. I don't like that visual movement. Kind of messes with me a little bit. So I always lockpick in third. Those are the two reasons why I always lockpick in third. If you want a little bit slower sensitivity, if you want to be able to hear the lock a little better, because the closer you are to the lock, the louder the lock is. Some people, the audio is a big deal for them. I practice with people talking and loud music, and I get myself into that rhythm because in a real raid situation, you can't always hear the lock. So I kind of normalize not being able to hear the lock very well. I recommend starting with the basic locks. Get comfortable with basic locks. Some people will tell you, start lockpicking golds with an improvised lockpick. I heavily disagree because you're not getting a feel for the juggle. Once you're in the sweet spot and you're moving the lock around, trying to figure out if you need to go left and right and how far you need to go to get that success, that's where you get your practice. So you get the most time doing that from the basic lock. Once you feel comfortable with that, once you're at like 20% success rate or so, you're getting like one success out of every 5 attempts. I would move on to silver, same thing. Once you feel comfortable with that, then move on with gold. Work your way up, get comfortable with it. It's going to take a lot of hours to get really comfortable with it. I've got nearly 9,000 hours in the game. A lot of it's lockpicking. I've been the main lockpicker for half those hours. So take your time, do 20-minute practice sessions, take a little break, relax your eyes, come back to it fresh, work your way up. I would recommend doing all of that with the advanced lockpick. Once you feel good with a gold lock and the advanced lockpick, make it a little more challenging for yourself. Use the medium lock and then go into it. Then use the improvised lockpick and continue to work your way up to where you're eventually lockpicking successfully, fairly regularly, bring insulated rubber gloves and an improvised lockpick. This, once you feel good with this and you're getting like 30% success rate on this, you've made it. You are at the pinnacle of lockpicking. All right, so now that I've explained what my thought process is, I'm going to show it in action. I'm going to start with the improvised lockpick. You'll see me feather around the edge until it barely moves, which means I found the sweet spot. And then I'm going to hold F all the way down until I hit the wall of the sweet spot. And then I'm going to adjust slightly from there. I'm going to go one way. If it's the wrong way, I readjust back the other direction, and I walk it in until I hit the success. I like to warm up with this. Hit the first one. Right now we're at 100%. About in the same spot that time. I screwed that one up though. A little bit. I was right in the middle again. So we hit 2 out of 3, I think is what we're... Oh, it's right there. And so we're, what, 3 out of 4. We're at 75% right now. We're doing pretty decent. Oh, I should have had that. 4 out of 6. I don't know. You guys can keep track. Put them kind of in the middle near the same spot, so that's nice for my percentage until I screw up multiple times. Okay. So once you're real comfortable with that, then I would A lot of times out in the open world, I always carry a couple advanced lockpicks on me. So I've got like 12 advanced tries on me. So I shoot someone out of a car, or I need to crack a prefab door open. I can use the advanced lockpicks on me. I keep these on me as I'm roaming. I keep a couple of them on me. That's typically what I'm actually lockpicking with out in the open world. Get that like 50 to 60% lockpick world. So I'm gonna get the same amount of feathering attempts, because I get the same amount of taps checking for the sweet spot as I would an improvised lockpick, but I get a little extra time juggling. So that's why I practice with the improvised lockpicks, and it'll keep my percentage with the advanced picks a lot higher. I'm able to be a little more aggressive with the advanced picks too, because I know it's more forgiving. So hit 3 in a row, 100% right now. A little bit right there, go back and shoot it up. So I screwed up a couple times. I think I'm like, what, 4 for 6? A lot of servers, I will sit here and practice for a few days until I actually hit above advanced lockpicking. So that helps quite a bit. It gives you just a little more tension on the lockpick, so you can be even more aggressive. It's very, very slight, but when you're being this sensitive, that's little just slight advantage gives you that extra, like 5% on your successes. So that's the world of lockpicking. A lot of people have watched my videos and my raids, and they want to know how I do it. They want to know what I'm thinking. They want to understand the mechanics a little better. So that's how I hit my percentages. I think that pretty much covers everything. So if anything helped you out, subscribe. Feel free to catch me on my live streams. Be streaming a ton for 1.0. So come and ask me questions. I can show you live how I lockpick and iron out anything that you may still have lingering in the back of your head. So thanks for watching. Catch you later.